a few numbers of exactly where we stand right now. This top portion is of offers, of those people who have offers right now, where were they on the tracking list? And the interesting thing about this is when I contacted the people who had offers, one of them replied back and said, hey, do you want me, I didn't complete 2 of the different deliverables, do you want me to go back and do those? I said, are you going to accept your offer? Yes. No. Don't worry about it. The deliverables are only a means to an end to help you prepare. And if those didn't help you for your specific search, then no, you didn't need them and you're okay for right now. Now in the future, yeah, maybe I would consider it. But you can see the lowest category that we have is 80%, and that's just because of cover letter template. And specifically for the OBHR track, most of those jobs don't require that. But almost every other category is at least 93%, if not 100%. Now compare that to everyone else. This is the total number. This white line is the total number of everyone in the class, both those with and without offers. And then you can see last year just as a little bit of a benchmark of what they did. Now I want to go through a breakdown of each of the different tracks. First off, finance. Now if you're finance, where would you say some of the main categories that you would look at? If I'm a finance student, I'm thinking, what do I need to do a little bit differently? I would look at functional research. I'd look at resume reviewed by at least 4 people. I'd look at some of the other different things with network. Look at marketing. If you're marketing, where would you look at? Personally, I'd make sure 42% have had the resume reviewed by at least 4 people. Networking. Now here's the interesting thing for marketing. Resume updated on e-recruiting, 72%. That means 28% of the students in marketing do not even have the resume visible for recruiters who have come to campus. And we have recruiters call us and say, I'm looking on e-recruiting, I'm trying to find a marketing student, I can barely find any resumes. And I'm thinking, oh, what a missed opportunity for those students. OBHR, once again, their phase has already mainly come. So for these people who are not fully prepared, we don't know what aspect could have helped it. For instance, I talked about the cover letter before. You'll see 72% for OBHR. For most people, it didn't matter. But for one specific student, I sat down with them, and extremely sharp student, has done great work on networking and doing some other things, but unfortunately hasn't really had any interviews. So that let us know, okay, if you haven't had many interviews, let's look at the resume. Looked at the resume, and although it was a great resume, it was very concentrated in one specific category to the point where I thought, oh, I don't know if you're really into doing HR. So for that one person, we first tweaked the resume a little bit, but his cover letter now explains a little bit more of why his background might look for something else, but the qualities for HR and the reason why he's passionate about HR is this. And so we're excited to see the changes that will be able to do. Supply chain management, same thing. Networking, interviews at 30%, and finally PD. Now PD, they did it a little bit differently. They decided to use their networking, so their informational interviews, to help them with their focus. So their thing is, hey, most of them haven't had experience prior to coming back, and so they're trying to say, what do you do at your job? What do you enjoy? And then off of that, they're doing their focus. But still, huge concern at 38%. Now, the numbers are great, but this means almost nothing unless you can see the trends. So I highlighted everything that is under 70% completion. What do we look like? And you can see the trends are pretty obvious. First off, resume being reviewed. If you can't get an interview because of the resume and networking. Networking is a huge issue. And then this is the one that shocked me the most. Mock interviews before they actually come to campus. 0% for some of the different groups and extremely low for the others. We don't have many opportunities to be able to differentiate ourselves. And in interviewing, although it's a poorer form of being able to fully know that person, it's one of the best utilized by companies to be able to determine their decision-making process. And to not have your interview practice before the company comes to campus, that's very concerning. In fact, specifically for finance, I talked to a lot of them and they said, well, I'm flying out, I'm doing so much work, I'm flying to this company, I'm going to New York, and you name it, I've been there. And yet I looked at some of their deliverables and they haven't done hardly anything. And I said, well, let's say you do go to that company and they say, hey, I'll sit down with you. What are you going to say when they say, tell me about yourself? Well, I haven't really worked on that well yet. Well, what are you going to say when they say, hey, I have 30 minutes, let's do a quick interview? Well, so these are just the stepping stones, just the start to get you going. Now here's some of the main concerns with the class of 2009. Once again, I am optimistic. We're 14th in the nation last year for a reason. We will get the job done. But I hope that urgency is coming through. First, many climbers still don't know what they want to do yet. If you haven't decided your focus, it's getting pretty late in the game to try and develop that. And so if you don't have it, that's #1 priority. Second, 29% still don't have a resume on e-recruiting. I would say within the week, we should be at 100% for having our resumes on e-recruiting. We're simply missing opportunities there. Next one, 49%, almost 50% haven't had the resume reviewed properly. We're not even to the stage where we can get interviews. And then many are not networking. We're in the 50% range for people who haven't even contacted second years. Just like Mark was saying, that's a huge indicator of interest level for the companies. And then also some of the different professionals out there. Another, few are able to confidently conduct an interview. 50% almost haven't even conducted 2 mock interviews. Now you ask those people that did the best practices how many times they did mock interviews, guaranteed it's at least 10. At least, for those who were really successful. For me, it was, I lost count because I did it coming to school, leaving school, with my spouse, with my friends, with anyone that I could get my hands on, I did a mock interview with beforehand. And finally, climbers are focusing on schoolwork and not budgeting the time. It's the classic, I know what I need to do, I know what people who are being successful are doing, but man, I have this leadership assignment right now, and so I can't attend that important thing that I need to do to be able to learn what I should be doing differently. Very interesting principle there. Now I'll sum it up with 2 final last things. The first is, what are the Sherpas doing to help? The internship search is 100% owned by the student, by the first-year student. But the Sherpas are here as a resource for those that want to utilize them. And so what are we doing? First off, we are strongly encouraging and pushing 100% completion of that tracking list. Not just to check off the box, but because if you haven't done those, you don't know which area you're weak at until you're able to see it. And for some people, once they do 2 mock interviews, they're going to realize, well, I need to do another 4 more. I'm not quite ready yet. But doing that initial one helps you know. Second, we've formed special forces teams to be able to help dig into the different problems of what we're facing. Networking, resume, and interviewing. Specifically, we came up with 2 things already. First one is the Holy Grail. And by now, everyone should have had that email. The networking committee did a phenomenal job of spearheading this. But what they did is, using your current contacts that you have through LinkedIn and other things, you simply download it on to a site that Heather Archibald's managing. And now we have about 5,000 different company contacts with a specific first or second year owner that you can contact. So if I'm looking at a company, I'll scroll through and see, hey, there's Honeywell. Who are the people that know people from Honeywell and what are the job positions? And then I can immediately have a first contact with those different people. Also, we posted the last 3 years of internship contacts on the website. Finally, we've met with all the different tracks to basically go through this information and say, what can we do to help? The marketing track has done a great job having the war rooms where every Tuesday night, anyone that wants to come can come and practice interviews, similar to what the best practices we heard. And you're going to see that from the other different tracks too, and different specific items they're doing to combat.